Okay. Fun. Hi, Josh, in the background.
Wait, are you there, Josh?
Yeah, he was behind Chris.
Oh, we'd love to have you join us. Hi, Josh.
Hi, Miss Garcia.
Good to see you. I miss you.
Miss you too, Miss Garcia. How you doing?
Doing okay. How are you?
Good, good.
Good. So, as I think, there may be some others coming, but they can join as we begin. Thank you again for being here, part of our virtual open house. We're very excited to share about our school with you. We have some very kind parents joining us. We have faculty and staff, and we have a couple of students who I feel like I owe something big to. But what else were you going to do tonight? I mean, tell me. Take a nap, maybe.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's very nice to have you all here, and we're going to, in a moment, give you an actual virtual tour of the school as best as we can, and then you'll get to hear from teachers about different content areas and a little bit about what they're doing even remotely at the moment, and then and our students will share a little bit about their experience, and then we'll have a Q&A at the end when you can ask questions of any of us or parents. So without further ado, if I could introduce Mrs. All. She's our founding head of school, and I don't know if it's better if maybe it's better if I stop the slideshow so that we're all seeing you.
Yeah.
Okay. That's a little less distracting.
I think that is a good idea.
And if you want, at the top, there's a little thing that looks like a tic-tac-toe, and if you click on that for gallery view, you can see everyone all at once. So I know sometimes people like to be able to see everyone, so it's your choice how you want to view it.
Where is that, Kim?
Up at the very top.
Oh.
You can pick speaker view, or you can pick gallery view. I kind of like seeing everyone's face at the same time, but
yeah,
whatever you prefer. Mm-hmm.
Hey, Kim.
Yes.
There is a family who's trying to join right now.
Okay, let me see.
It's just a pen.
Oh, are they calling you?
Yes.
All right, let me see. It's interesting. Usually, sometimes it might take a moment to pop up that they're trying to enter, because there's no one waiting to enter at the moment, but perhaps they'll come through soon. So we'll keep working on that behind the scenes.
Maybe they want to try again. That's right.
Maybe, yeah, maybe
So
you could tell them to try.
Welcome, everyone. Are we good, Kim?
You're breaking up a little bit for me, but
Okay, well, I'm gonna try to get closer to my router. I don't know if that'll make a bit of difference, but we'll give it a try. So I want to say welcome to all of you, our families who are interested in Wye River Upper School, and you're joining in on this very first effort to create an experience for you all that is virtual, like our lives have been. I want to say a particular thank you to Kim Garcia and to Colleen Williams, who have done really terrific work to put this together. Can everybody hear me?
yes.
Just do this if you can hear me, yes?
Yes.
Okay. Will you turn those lights out for me, Ned? Overhead lights? Okay, those lights are going down. So I really don't have a heck of a lot to say other than welcome. My name is Chrissy All. I'm the founding head of school. We're just delighted that we could still show off the school. It's been a really adventurous, not chaotic, because actually this administrative and teaching team has done a fantastic job of going from live learning. I think on March 12th, we were all together in the building, and Friday, March 13th, we were departing the building, and I think that's the last day we've actually seen one another. And by Monday, the 16th, we were fully online in a remote learning. And the teachers and the kids have been steadfastly in remote synchronous schedules ever since. So AM to 3 p.m. together every day, with the exception of spring break. And that's actually the plan going forward. We are going to take a couple of unused snow days, but we've got a full schedule and a full calendar mapped out through to the end of the school year. Looking forward to this, and I'm hopeful that you all have some great questions to ask of us through your tour. So thank you very much.
Thank you. And I also like to introduce Mr. Cowan, our assistant head of school, and he's going to tell you a little bit about himself and a little bit about our program too.
Hi, and welcome to everyone. Thanks again for joining us tonight, and thanks to our teachers for joining us as well after a full day of online teaching and learning. So we're definitely in the new frontier now of school, but like Chrissy said, Wye River has leaped off the ledge, and we just feel really good about what we're doing. And we are so fortunate that the students are coming each day positive, and they just love being a part of the Wye River community. You'll probably hear from a few of them in a little bit later today. But we're just really blessed that things have been going well for us here. And again, thank you for joining us, and thanks for Kim for putting this together. We're going to do the best tonight to tell you a little bit about our school, which just is a fantastic place for students to come and learn and show off all the wonderful things that they're great at. We're really a little saddened because one of the things we're missing because of this COVID situation is our fantastic theater production and arts and music expo, two of the hallmarks of what normally happen in the spring. And we're fortunate we have Miss Lillard here, our art teacher, and Miss Moreau here, our performing arts teacher, and you'll hear from them. But Wye River is just a place where whether you do the arts or whether you play a team sport or whether you're on the stage, every student in our school gets a chance to be successful at something. And we have been continuing that and working to continue that hallmark of what we do while we're online. And we really look forward to hopefully having some of you join us next year when we're back in the building so that you can experience that firsthand, what we do at Russ, because it's really amazing what the student experience is and how they grow over their 4 years at our school. So I'm happy to answer any questions that you have later this evening or as we go throughout. And thank you for joining us.
Yes, and by the way, if you have a question, I know a lot of people are muting themselves just for the sound purposes, but feel free to unmute yourself anytime to jump in and ask a question, or you can add it in the chat and someone will answer you, whatever you feel comfortable with. But it is a, very, we want you to feel welcome and free to jump in at any time. Nicole, would you please introduce yourself too?
Sure. Hi, everybody. My name's Nicole Sophocles. I've met a few of you, well, many of you before, but met a few of our guests before as well. So it's good to see you. And my primary role at Wye River is college and career counseling. And so that's where I spend the majority of my time. However, I also do some academic administration, and I'm also working with a team currently with admissions. And so if you have questions related specifically to admissions and application, or any questions that pop up, or you just want to connect with someone to ask a question about our program, or be able to connect with any one of our teachers with specific questions, you'll feel free to email me or email and reach out to me. We'll provide my email to you if you don't already have it. And if it's not a question I can help answer, then I'll be sure that whoever is best suited to do that can do so. But the majority of my time is spent with college and career counseling, and I have had the pleasure this week to actually work with all of our students and talking about career options and strengths, and using those strengths to lead into different career choices. And it's been a lot of fun in doing so. And I want to recognize that 2 of the students with us today are seniors. So Mason and Josh, who have joined us this evening, are seniors. And so, you know, we're working closely with them to plan their end of the year out successfully, but I'm happy to see that they've joined us. So yeah, it's great to meet you, great to see you. And like I said, any questions about admissions or college and career related, I'm happy to answer them.
Thank you, Nicole. And I put Nicole's email in the chat if you want to grab that. She'll be your point person going forward, processing applications and questions about applications, if that's what you decide. You'll hear from everyone else in a bit, and they'll introduce themselves when we get to their part of the school. So we're going to go on a picture tour, and Mr. Cowan and I are going to sort of tag team and share about different areas of our school, just a few highlights. And this is the beginning of our school. This is the outside if you haven't been to our building. That's our tagline, because not all great minds think alike, and we're very proud of the amazing, unique ways our students think differently. We're in a renovated armory building with big, heavy, wonderful doors, and this is how it would look if you were entering. We have a big gym, but we'll hear more about that in a moment. And to the right, you'll see that we have a reading room, and that's where we sort of gather for faculty meetings sometimes, and sometimes classes are taught there, and study sessions happen there. It's really nice space to gather, and I think you'll see Mrs. All teaching in there, yes. And normally, if we were at school, we would go up to the admissions office, and you would see in that upstairs, I guess it's a foyer, that our students have gone to many different places. And maybe, Nicole, if you want to add just a little bit about the many paths our students take, and just about how career counseling works, college and career. You're muted, I think.
That's okay. I was muted. Sure. So I start working with students in typically spring of 9th grade year, with talking again about like some of the things I did with them recently, or strengths assessments, talking about strengths and how to build upon your talents, looking at different career options. I work very closely with our juniors and our sophomores. And it's really about their individual path and what's best for them. And so for some of our students, it is your typical four-year college. We work on finding what might be a good fit based on what their needs are, their interests, their wants. For some of our students, it's a local community college, or it could be a career training program that's connected to a community college or separate. And there's so many great options out there for students. The options can be kind of overwhelming. And so, it's fun for me to be able to help students and their families navigate through that, and kind of show off the different choices that they do have, to help them to make some decisions. So so some of these pennants, all of these pennants are schools that our students have attended, our alumni have gone on to. And that hangs up in our hallway upstairs, sort of close to my office. And it's a nice reminder that we started giving our students pennants or a magnet or something of significance to where they're moving on to after high school. And the student receives it, and then we also hang it up. At that point in time, we hang it up in our hallway. So, yeah.
Thank you.
Sure.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
So my name is Chandra Johnson, and we have a son who will be entering 10th grade. And so I guess my question would be most appropriate for Ms. Sophocles.
Okay.
So I wanted to know how you specifically target skills related to self-advocacy and conflict resolution as they are transitioning from the high school program and into that college university setting, because they will have to, they need certain skills in order to make sure they are getting the accommodations and all that they need at the college level. So in what specific way do you address the self-advocacy and conflict resolution pieces?
Sure. Yeah, that's a great question. And it's definitely something that the students do need to, help them to become successful no matter what they choose after high school. So a few things. So one of the, I do work with students on a self-assessment that helps them to monitor some of their own skills in areas of academics, self-advocacy, executive function skills, and it's also something then that we can also reflect back upon as a teaching staff. A lot of what the self-advocacy skills, where those are happening, is within the teacher's classes. And so it may not be necessarily be a pull-out program or something that's targeted in that way, but it's just really felt throughout our entire school program. So all of our students with their teachers within their classes, their teachers are promoting self-advocacy. They're providing a comfortable environment for students to approach them with questions or concerns. Our administrative staff is pretty much always an open door where a student can come in and advocate for their needs, and we encourage it. So some of the things I'll do specifically within my area is when working with students is prompting them, oh, you have this question about, your financial aid for a college. So this is how you handle it. Let's sit down. I'll sit with you, but I'm not going to, you have to be the one to reach out to the college. So you can come in my office, use my phone. I'm right here to help guide you with making this phone call, or let me help you put together an email. This is how, let's look at all the resources available at the college you might be attending or the program you might be attending to see how you're going to know how to seek out help when you're there. Where do you go to get help for that history class or that writing class? Who's going to be your go-to, or the department or specific location? But the majority of it is handled, I would say, is really taught on every day at Wye River through the teachers and their classes. As far as like conflict resolution and things like that, Ms. Pavone could probably speak a little bit better about that, as that seems to be more of her primary area of working with students.
I just want to chime in briefly, if you don't mind.
Sure.
So across the board in all our classes, as Nicole was saying, we call them our 21st century skills. And actually our seniors right now, and if you want to know more about it, Mason or Josh could tell you because they're in the midst of this.
Right, were there 10, there are 10 skills? I can't recall exactly how many there are.
There's 12 demonstrations, but what I think is really critical and key are the 6 characteristics of 21st century citizen, which are embedded within those demos. So that's collaboration, creativity, communication,
right, a lot of those soft
cosmopolitanism.
skills.
Yeah, so those are things that are embedded across the curriculum no matter what class you're in. And those are things that are demonstrated through those skills and in those portfolios. And at that senior year, seniors present their demonstrations of learning to a panel of administrators and faculty. So again, I think our faculty do a great job because their classrooms are so dynamic, and they do a great job of creating lessons that are experiential and connected in the real world, that a lot of that is just so ingrained and innate in the classroom itself. And so I just wanted to echo that point that Nicole said.
Okay, thank you.
So upstairs, these are 2 of my favorite rooms. We have our language rooms upstairs. So this room you're seeing right now is where Spanish is being taught, and also American Sign Language. And then, and Miss Gilbert also teaches a course on the history and culture of the Chesapeake Bay, which is a very popular course. And also they get out of the classroom a lot. There's Cole. There you are. You're famous. I think you're teaching a lesson in Spanish there, if I remember correctly. And you can see here, we have stand-up desks, sit-down desks. We know a lot of our students like to move, maybe sit on a bouncy seat, use fidgets. We just want them to be comfortable in their environment. And you can see easily that they are comfortable and feel at home. We have small classes, generally 7 or 8 in a class, or even fewer like this one. And you can also see on the board, and around the room, we like to have a lot of visual cues, whether that's reminders for vocabulary, for whatever, just reminders to help students keep on track, and also have an organized pattern of what they're doing. So we work a lot with executive function across the board, and we teach those skills explicitly in an advisory period, but we also employ them in every class. Like Mr. Cowan was saying, those skills are embedded within our program, each class, each day, even online.
Right, and I'll just say a little bit about that, and maybe it comes up later, Kim, if there's a better place to talk
it's fine.
about it. But all of our students have an advisory period at the end of the day. It's every day except for Fridays, because we have a slightly shorter day. And at that period, students engage. We call it the green sheet, but it's a tool and a structure to help students build and grow their executive function skills. So there's some really minute organizational tasks on there and prompts, but there's some also prompts for mindfulness, to engage more thoughtfully, to think about what's the tasks that are at hand for them, how long it might take them to complete those tasks, and think about how they might plan those tasks out, who they might use as a resource to complete those assignments. So, and that was all modeled on what's being done at a college in Vermont. It's called Landmark College, and it's a small college that serves students with learning differences. So we try to model the practices on what higher education institutions are doing and what research says works. And so that's something you'll see across the board in all our advisories every day. Students engaged in that green sheet. And again, what we've seen this year with more success is that students, those things on the green sheet become habits of mind, and then they do build up those advocacy skills, and they know who to seek out during advisory period. And they're making the wise choices that they should during that time.
Am I correct that students are able to choose American Sign Language as their language course in lieu of Spanish or French?
We added actually 7 new courses this year. We switched to a block schedule, so it's more like our traditional high schools. And because of that, we've offered 7 new courses. One of them is a hybrid class. It's just exposure to both Spanish and sign language. So that's what we were talking about. That's being piloted this year.
Oh, okay.
So it's dependent on interest to see where that might go next year, but that was our hope and intent. So we'll see where that takes us. But so far, our students have been successful, and I think they've really been enjoying the ASL part of that class in particular. So we'll see, but that is one of our new classes this year.
That's awesome. Okay.
Thank you. So now we're entering Mr. Baker's room. He's got the nice comfy chairs for reading, and he's going to tell you a little bit more about our language arts program. I will just mention that we always try to have very small classes, but we really target our instruction and offering more, I guess, levels in both math and language arts, because those tend to be areas where students may need extra support. So Mr. Baker.
Yeah, hello, John Baker. Sorry, I have so much school spirit, I've changed my middle name to Russ, but I am John Baker. And I teach English and language arts here. And I have a great time. And so let's just jump in and talk about our approach. Every class is theme based. So, and we do that for a reason. Sometimes we group different grade people together. And so if we go theme based, roughly around a grade, then you're less likely to have kids sort of, run into the same thing again. So this year our themes are grit in the roughly 10th grade. 11th grade is we're exploring truth. And we're doing the immigrant experience with the seniors. And I just want to talk a little bit about the way we approach, I guess, the real important aspects of English class, which are writing and reading. So writing, we have an Empower. It's really a graphic organizer structure, and really a whole concept of sort of how do I get my ideas first on paper graphically, and then how do I organize either a paragraph or even after that an essay. And what we found is, it's really hard to get a kid who's put a page of words on paper to abandon those. So if they plan really well first, that first draft is usually better to begin with. And then the way the system helps them organize thoughts, it's really easy to sort of move things around and get sort of the most logical order going in their writing. And so we work with Empower, and really in all classes, but definitely in English. And the other thing that I like to do, we have a weekly, I call it sort of proofreading practice. And it's maybe a nicer way to say grammar work, but it's really important. I think the kids enjoy it. And we do it in a way that's real, like easy, simple. I give them 2 sentences, they fix them. We talk about what was wrong, and then they can start to sort of see the trends of what goes wrong in writing. And for reading, we reinforce that with reading comprehension strategies. And then the other real big facet of our reading program is an independent reading project. And that project has a lot of sort of choice in it. Sometimes we'll give them a list and ask them to pick from that list if we want to guide them towards classics or something like that. But often, especially at the beginning of the year, it's totally free choice. They also they have summer reading lists too, but I don't want to digress too far. And there's a template, a structure for them to read through their work and then sort of capture some important things like vocabulary, literary devices, and then those reading comprehension strategies along the way. And then they sort of prove their mastery of the work, if you will, by summarizing the text in portion. We break it down into 3 portions. And they work through that independently at the same time that we're reading a novel or short stories or poems in class. So like they're working outside of class on that, and then we're coming together and checking their progress and then reading other things. So mainly I would like to stress that I really like to have the kids make connections between literature and nonfiction. We, theme-based, if we're talking about truth, we brought in articles on the troll factory in Russia, and we're reading 1984, and, sort of putting those 2 things together. So I really like them to make those connections to the real world, because, that's why people keep reading.
Thank you, Mr. Baker. And I also always like to mention that since we began, I don't know how many years it was ago that we began the Independent Reading Project, that it's really fostered a culture of loving reading and wanting to read, and that element of choice and sharing among students what they're reading is a really powerful addition to the culture of our school.
Yeah, I want to add something, because I conference with the kids after each one. And I just want to echo that, it's a love of reading that is a real indicator of success beyond school, both college and in the real world. So the more excited we can get our kids about reading, I think the better off they are in the future.
Thank you. So if you go a little bit further outside of those classes, it's kind of a neat place we can overlook the gym. Some people call it the gymnatorium. A lot of stuff happens in this room. You'll see the stage in the back with the set for Beauty and the Beast. We set up tables there where students eat, and we also have gym in there. And actually, Mason, if you don't mind jumping in and talking about, you know, the different kind of sports, and Mason is a leader as one of the coaches for volleyball. She has been, she's going to be, you're going to be playing, right, at college? So
Yeah.
tell us a little bit.
So we offer different sports every single quarter, except for, I want to say, second and third. I think basketball is like, that's just what you like, I don't know, it just goes into second and third. So usually for first quarter, you have your traditional spring sports, so soccer, volleyball, cross country, and I think sometimes you do like martial arts or something. I'm not sure. And then when it's the second quarter, you pick your sport, and usually that's the sport that you're gonna have till third quarter. Sometimes they switch it, not likely at all. So basketball is usually the top choice. Most people play basketball, and they play basketball from second to third. I actually can't remember a whole bunch of sports from second and third. I know there's a YMCA. I think that was
Like
it,
personal
actually.
fitness.
Yeah, I think that was it. Fourth quarter, we broke into small groups, and we kind of just did different activities. And we didn't have a lot of that, obviously, because of the virus that's going on right now. So I can't really talk too much about that. But we'd play like indoor field hockey, not field hockey, oh my God, floor hockey. And we do like go out and play soccer, just take small groups. And then some kids would go to the gym and they have a big thing, or they'd stay here and we'd play like this game called mat ball. So with the sports, you could pick any sport that you want to play. It's not like they're not going to put you in a group that you don't want to do. So if you wanted to play volleyball, they're not going to sit there and put you in soccer. If you tell Mr. Venard, which I don't think he's in this call, but if you tell him, he will put you in whatever group you want to. That's for every single quarter, except for second and third again. Yeah, so if you had a friend and they're playing volleyball and you want to be with your friend because you didn't like soccer, or maybe you just want to play volleyball, you could go with your friend. It's never really a no situation. I think
That's perfect, Mason. And I think it's just important to mention that we do have competitive sports, but Miss Hall, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say exactly that. We try to find a balance between competitive field sports or team sports and non-competitive individual personal fitness. I think it's important to make sure everybody is aware. We run sports at 8 o'clock in the morning. The kids come to school dressed to play sports. And so they're in PE, they're in personal fitness from 8 until about 9:15. And then they're supposed to shower, but they don't. And then they change and come up for a snack. Everybody has a snack before they start first period. But Mason neglects to share the fact that she has been the captain of our women's volleyball team now for I guess 3 years that we've had a competitive volleyball team. And she's going off to St. Mary's College, where she's going to play volleyball for St. Mary's. So she neglected to share that little tidbit, so I'll share it for her.
Thank you.
Yeah, and even though
You're
we have, yeah, Mason, we love you. And even though we do have very talented athletes, Cole is a talented athlete too, we also have students who find themselves playing a sport that they never thought they would play, an organized sport, and Mr. Venner, and we have an alumni coach, Mr. Donahue, and they do a beautiful job of making everyone feel safe and taking those risks that maybe they wouldn't have taken before. So we try to serve the needs of the kids who really love athletics and sports, and those who are a little more timid. We want them all to be included. And Mason, up here we have the sound booth, and the students run the sound and the lights for the drama productions, and Mason took part in that too. Oh yeah, there's an action shot. And then we would normally go down the elevator to Miss Pavone's office and hear a little bit of what happens in her world. So you want to share, Miss Pavone?
Sure. I have an open door policy, unless of course I'm in there with someone who doesn't want a door open. And kids can come in and chat with me about things that are going on. And sometimes they just come in to chat, which is great. And it's just a place for them to relax. If you go into my office, I have this kind of weird half wall, and beyond my wall is some nice little beanbag chairs and a table and just a relaxing area where if someone's just feeling like they need a break, they can go in there and just have a break. I don't have to talk
Excuse
to
me.
anybody.
Is it possible to go to the person who's speaking when they're speaking so everybody could see who it is?
Well, I don't know.
Okay.
I'm
Let's just,
not sure how that works.
All right,
I can
well-
only see 6 people. But
You have to forward it on the right-hand side. The arrow will forward to the next group of pictures.
yeah, I didn't have any luck doing that with this, but
Yeah, you can just scroll down and you'll see the next set of people.
okay, thank you.
okay, well, I have a blue shirt on and I'm waving. So I don't, my office is just somewhere, I have lots of fidgets in there. I have lots of areas that kids can just sit and relax. And I've had kids that have come in that have wanted to talk about things that were going on. And then I have kids that come in that just are like, I just want to sit down. I'm like, okay. So they just go back there and relax, and then they go back to class. So I don't push any chatting. If sometimes people just need to have a little space to unwind and then they go back to class, or a lot of times kids will come in the mornings just to chat, and sometimes they're just in there like Mason. I just find them sitting there and I end up having a conversation. So it's really a open place for kids to come and feel comfortable and just kind of hang out a little bit and then go to class. And I end up doing some disciplinary things with other faculty members, but we're pretty fortunate we don't have any major disciplinary things. I mean, the things that we deal with are nothing like the things that other schools have to deal with. So we're extremely lucky with our students that way. I don't know, it's just a nice environment, and I really enjoy the students coming in. I'm right there, and I stand out there when they come in during the morning, and I make them speak to me even though they're tired and they don't want to. And then they go on to class, and I'm up there for healthy snack, and then I pop into classes, which they're seeing me doing now, and just kind of try to be there. And if they want to chat one-on-one, then I'm there. I also can help out in other ways. I have a special educator certification, so I do a lot of the testing that we do, and Mr. Cowan and I'll do some certain testing, and then I do Woodcock-Johnson testing with the kids also. So just a great position for me. I used to be a therapist, and I'm also a teacher, so it's like the best of both worlds collided into one job. So
How often do you do the Woodcock-Johnson testing?
we do it every 2 years. So if they come in as an 8th grader and it's already done, then I won't do it until they're in 10th grade, because it's really not valid if I do it every year.
Right.
So.
And I'll just mention briefly, and we don't have to talk too much about it, but students have what we call student development plans. And they're not like IEPs, they're goal focused. And of course, they are a way to document accommodations for students, but those accommodations are best practices at our school. Those things happen in our classrooms without the hassle that they might in another school, because that's what our students need, and so that's what our teachers provide. But these are focused on goals, academic goals largely, but it can also include social goals for students. And this year, in addition to the Woodcock-Johnson, we've started a new sort of benchmarking assessment that's aligned more closely to our standards, English and math standards. It's called FastBridge. And we're fortunate it's something we're going to be able to deliver even virtually online. So students will be taking their spring benchmarks next week. So we look, it's not just the Woodcock Johnson. We're looking at that and contextualizing that alongside of this FastBridge data as we write these student development plans. And so they're kind of going through an overhaul right now to make them even more connected to the teaching that's going on in the classroom, and make them connected more explicitly to those standards and outcomes in English and math, those two core areas.
Exactly. We're not like, I was in public school with the plan, the IEPs and things. We try to make them more simple, but we don't really need them because when our school, a lot of the 504 and the IEPs we do naturally. So we already have a lot of those things implemented in everyday instruction. So Mr. Cowan and I are just doing different benchmarks to kind of see where the kids are and have a better understanding of how they're progressing.
Thank
How
you.
often are those development plans modified?
It depends on the student. I mean, we're very individualized. So if we find that a student needs something added or taken out, then we do it. I mean, it's not like we only do it 2 times a year or once a year. It takes 6 months. It just depends on the individual and what happens.
Oh, sorry. And with the new testing, like I said, we'll have new data now in the spring, which gives us time in the summer to look at how they need to be adjusted.
Right.
Perfect. Thank you. I just want to move along so every content area gets to speak briefly, and then maybe we'll have time for, we can ask questions and also ask questions of our parents who are here joining us who are eager to be helpful too. We downstairs is where most of our academic areas are, and I could share briefly, but I'm sure Mr. Cowan could do a better job. We have a focus on civic advocacy with our students, and Ms. Meeks may talk about this too as well with history, but instead of learning about it only in a book, we want them to experience and also participate in the real world. And I mean, our students, they attend Dyslexia Advocacy Day. They lobbied. Well, go ahead, you tell Ms. Meeks.
My government students actually spent Q2 researching vaping and tobacco, and then we used that Q2 vaping and tobacco research to actually go to the State House and lobby on behalf of the American Cancer Society against vaping and against vape products and tobacco products, and especially flavored tobacco products. And it was something that every student had a part in, and we actually met with delegates and state senators in the State House in Annapolis. So we believe in being actively involved in our government whenever possible. So it's something we feel really passionately about, and try and bring that engagement in class, make it part of the learning process.
Lydia does a particularly nice job at planning those experiential civic advocacy opportunities, which again are part of those 21st century characteristics of what a citizen needs to be. And I think it was in February, within the span of 2 weeks, different groups of students went to the State House to advocate for 2 separate issues. So there's a lot of that real world experience. The second time our students went to advocate on behalf of all Maryland students with dyslexia, who are challenged with dyslexia, and it was Dyslexia Advocacy Day. So they met with, I think, like 6 different senators on that day, something like that. So we do a lot of that. It's really important to us as a school that our students are a part of the community in an authentic way, and that's just one of the ways they are.
Thank you. And Mr. Cowan, if you don't mind, could you also share a little bit about the new growth we've had in humanities and give us a glimpse of?
Right. So in addition to the hybrid Spanish ASL class and the Chesapeake Studies class, both of those are new, we also are offering African American history course this year. And so that's a humanities class that's largely social studies based, but Miss Bain, who's also our English teacher, incorporates some English type instruction and curriculum approach in that as well. We also have, and John and Katie are both here, but they're collaborate a part of our literary magazine, which is a new offering this year. So that's excellent. And we also have James as well, and he'll talk about the makerspace. So I won't say much about that. So we've really expanded our elective offerings this year, particularly in the humanities area, but also in those sort of maker type areas. Those are where our students tend to gravitate towards. So we want to make sure we provide the opportunities for them to show off their talents.
Yeah, and I just want to commend Mr. Cowan and Ms. Sophocles for working hard to make the block schedule possible, because I still can't wrap my brain around how there's more space within the same day. And students have a lot more opportunity for electives and pursuing their passions, which is exciting. And then across the hall from Miss Bain's room, actually is Miss Meek's room. And then in the hallway here, I just always like to stop and show this beautiful mural. And I know, Miss Lillard, you're going to talk about the art program a little bit later, but if you could just mention about this mural, it would be nice.
Sure. Hi, I'm Katie Lillard, and I am the art teacher. And this mural was painted last year by our public art class. It was one of 2 murals that our class made over the course of the year, and this was our first. And then we actually have another mural that is hanging permanently in Rock Hall, Maryland, that the students worked on as well. So
Cole was part of that.
Yeah, that's right. Cool. So you could speak to that. Either one. You were in that class.
No, but I meant just acknowledging, yeah.
Yeah, so it was a really cool opportunity for students to sort of see the cycle of a project from brainstorming phase to mapping out ideas. And actually each student made their own design for this mural, and then we voted on design as a school, I think on the day before Christmas break. This was designed by one of our seniors last year. So she has graduated and flown away, which is what the heron on the right is supposed to represent, emerging and sort of growing beyond the comfort and support of Wye River. So it was a really cool project. There was a lot of bonding time down by the wall. Many layers of paint over many hours.
Yeah, it was so exciting to walk in each day and see how it unfolded. And Miss Lillard's a very talented artist and has those skills to guide our students through such a neat process of a mural. And I mean, we could talk a lot about the other one in Rock Hall, but the way it's like suctioned to the wall, and they created it at school and then were able to install it. It's just, the technology is so great. So we're really proud of that. And in this hallway, so on the left are math and science classrooms, and then further down on the right we'll get to music, and at the end you can see another mural, which I'm sure Mr. Martinez could tell us more about, but we had a guest muralist come with a grant and helped guide the students, and that was a similar thing where it demonstrates their different paths in the world. And Mr. Cowan, do you want to talk at all about just our math program, since Miss Mosher isn't here?
So for math, we know that's a particular challenge area for any student. We have many different sections, oftentimes being taught within even the same class. So a geometry class may have varying levels of geometry that are being taught in that class, whether it's foundations and then a more college prep bound track of that. So there's a lot of differentiation going on in the particular math classes. For students that need a little extra remediation or support, we do offer a math skills or foundational core class to help bring them up to speed before they pursue with the required courses, which are algebra and geometry. And we have students who, like Cole and Mason, both who've moved past geometry. And are you guys in trig, or is it algebra 3?
It's algebra 2.
Algebra 2, I'm sorry, algebra 2. So, there's higher math classes outside of those required ones as well. Some of our classes right now are working a curriculum called Alex, and it's a really cool curriculum in which students can move at the pace that best suits them. Again, it's something that's being used in some major universities and colleges, and they're finding that this program, because it's tailored specifically to a student's strengths and areas in which they need support, that they're able to show exponential growth in the area of math. And so again,
Pun intended.
Cole's, no pun intended there. I'm not a math person, so that was totally unintentional. And Cole and Mason, they're using that Alex program right now, and I'm happy to talk more about that later if you have questions. But it's student driven and individualized, and part of it's through a program that's delivered by a computer, and then supplemented with teacher instruction. So it's a hybrid program that's really incorporating technology in a new way. And the feedback, Ms. Mosher actually just shared me some student feedback from it today. She sent me an email with students' thoughts on the program, and they are finding a lot of success with it and really enjoying it, and really enjoying how it's tailored exactly for them. So it's great.
Thank you, Mr. Cowan. And speaking of Cole, for a little change of pace, Cole, thank you again for coming. And Cole was going to share with us a little bit about his experience and what it's like to be a Wye River student. Just makes me think of it here in the hallway where you guys gather and talk.
Yeah. Hi. So I'm Cole Lennox. I'm a junior at Wye River. I've been here all 3 years. And yeah, friendships. Making friendships is a big part of Wye River, just because it's such a small school. We only have around 60 kids, and you get to know really everybody. Going to a public school, you don't know everybody, but at this school you really get to know everybody, and you get to close with the people you know, and yeah, it's very easy to make friends, I'll tell you that. But Wye River has helped me personally, because when I went to middle school, it was very hard for me, just because their classes were so big, and like the teachers really couldn't get one-on-one the one-on-one attention I needed. But going here, and the classes are so small, and I like that the teachers are able to talk with me when I need extra help. Like if the class understands it and I don't, I'm able just to raise my hand and say, I don't understand that. And that's one way it's definitely helped me. So, yeah.
Thanks, Cole. And Mason, do you want to talk a little bit about your experience at Wye River too? I know college has been a big thing on your mind since last year, and we're so proud of you. And I don't know, how many colleges did you get accepted to?
11.
11. Yeah. So, but yeah, tell us a little bit about, how that's been for you.
Wait, which part? The college part or the Wye River part?
Whatever you want.
Okay. Well, I do like about Wye River is like what Cole said, the class sizes are super small. And I know at the beginning, I was a freshman and I came out of homeschooling for a little bit. So I was just kind of like, I don't know. So the whole school thing was a little bit different for me. But they made it very known that if you need help, reach out, we'll get you help. And when you need it, we'll be there. And that kind of slipped my mind for a little bit. And my sophomore year, I remember this very distinctively. But it was my end of my freshman year, summer, I was going into my sophomore year. And we were doing some kind of math thing with my mom. And I couldn't figure out what I was supposed to be doing. My mom was write an email Miss Meeks, because that was my math teacher for the semester. Well, for sophomore year, which was the semester, yeah. So I emailed Miss Meeks, and she responded back so fast. Like I've never really like had to write an email to my teachers. I never had to ask for help like that because I was homeschooling and my mom was right there. So I'm emailing her and she responds back so fast. She tells me like what I need to do. If you need help, come back, email me again. I'll be here for you. And I've never had that before. So that was just all kind of new. And I won't forget that because now I write a lot of emails and I'm pretty sure the teachers are probably like, why does she keep emailing me? But self-advocation is a great thing at this school. I think I learned a lot by that. And that definitely will help me in college because I was not like this before Wye River. So.
Thank you, Mason. That's very nice.
You're welcome.
To hear. And Josh, I haven't forgotten about you. I know you're there. We're going to get to theater soon. It would be nice if you can chime in after Miss Moreau speaks. But even before we get there, we'll pass by science and oh, here's math. But Miss Walton does also a very beautiful job of making science real to life. And she has a lot of partnerships, community partnerships that where students are actually doing water testing that counts, where they're, I don't know, they do so many things that, oh, let me pause this. They do the bird watching. What are some of the other things?
Maybe James can talk a little bit about the Science Olympiad.
Oh yeah, the Science Olympiad, great. Is he there?
He's muted.
Oh, he's muted.
All right. Sorry about that. Science Olympiad is a competition that's held in Maryland and all the other states where they have you send a team and it's everything from taking a test on forensics to building a Rube Goldberg machine that fits 20 different parameters. So our students went last year, and kind of got their feet wet. Then they put together another group this year, and we went again, and we had, I think, seven entries, and everybody placed. We had 3 first place groups or students. It was very successful. It was a lot of fun watching them, get their ribbons and medals when they and go up to receive them in front of everybody. And it's something that I think we'll continue to do because a lot of what they do there mixes with the maker space where you've got a problem, you've got to find a way to solve it with whatever you can, and use science and math and art to kind of be successful.
Thank you. That's awesome. That was so exciting. So if we go down the hall a little bit further, we'll get to a picture of the music room. But I just want to introduce Miss Moreau. She's our music and theater teacher, and you see Josh there in just one of his many performances. But yeah, please share with us about what's going on in music and theater.
Okay, hi, my name is Marissa Moreau, and I teach music, theater performance, theater production, and interpersonal skills. I'll start with theater since we're on the page. My goal for the students is to enjoy themselves through the year, build confidence, and put on an incredible performance. We start at the beginning of the year with, in theater class, working on improvisations, learning monologues, character analysis, and then in late October, we prepare for auditions, and I usually have 1 or 2 students sit in during the audition, and the students audition with a monologue that they've been practicing or one that they've written, and they're asked to sing about 16 measures of a song. After that, we start rehearsals, and we rehearse from, I would say, late October until late March, early April. And the reason we do that for such a long rehearsal is because we don't really have after school rehearsals because students live everywhere. So we have a lot of time to get into character and create our sets, and I'm getting into theater production. And then we have our show in March or April. We have QAC TV come and interview the students, and then they're on TV. We have a lot of parent volunteers, and it's a wonderful experience for our students. Oh, you're muted, Kim.
I'm sorry. I said, Josh, I'm sure it's hard for you to say just only a little bit about how theater has much as meant to you, but if you can, that would be nice to hear.
Sure, I can do that. So, hello, my name is Josh Hansen. I am a senior here at Wye River. So I could go on and on about how much I've enjoyed the theater program at the school, but I will keep it short. I have enjoyed the theater. I've enjoyed theater since I was very young, and coming to Wye River and having Miss Moreau as a fabulous drama teacher and director, I have gained a lot more confidence and skills as a performer, and I've had the pleasure and absolute fun working with Miss Moreau and my fellow students and castmates in The Fantastics, The Wizard of Oz, Cinderella. So it has been spectacular.
You forgot Beauty and the Beast.
And Beauty and the Beast too. And Beauty and the Beast, that has been a lot of fun. So I've had lots of fun with the theater program. And Miss Moreau does a fabulous job picking the musicals and just making the class fun with improvs. We just did commercials in our theater class, and which we got to film. We learned how to write a treatment and come up with an idea, and we filmed the commercials. So it was fun.
Thank you, Josh. Yeah, we had I think, can you hear me? Am I muted? Oh no, okay. Did you want me to go on, or did you?
If you want to say just a little bit about music.
Sure. So in music, we begin the year learning rudiments of theory, how to read music, all of the notes, all of the rests, how to write music, ear training. And the first performance we have is around late October, early November, and that's for Grandparents' Day, where a few students are able to showcase their talent at our performance. And then after that, students have bi-weekly in-class performances. We also perform at a nursing home, Serenity Enhancement, and another one 2 streets down. We bring a Christmas show to them. And the ultimate goal for the music class is to showcase your talents in our Music and Art Expo, which is also in March or it's in May, early May. And that's the goal for the students in that class.
Thank you.
And we also offer private lessons and private coachings on a weekly basis.
Thank you. Yeah, many of our students really flourish in the arts, and we will get back to the art program too. But usually we would take a walk outside to Makerspace, and it's a very, very exciting addition to our program, and Mr. Martinez is the director of that. So if you want to give us a glimpse of the many things you do there.
Hello, my name is Mr. Martinez. People call me Martinez. This is a house that's right next door to Wye River. In fact, the school's in one part, then the parking lot, then this little house. It was purchased almost as soon as we moved into the building. It was a closet for a long time and a rental. And this last summer or last school year, it was rehabbed into two rooms with a porch and a big backyard. The idea is to basically fill it up with as many different ways of making something as we possibly could. I made a little list here of things, and we have 4 3D printers, soldering. We have microcontrollers that can be programmed, sewing machines, a multitude of woodworking tools, a CNC machine, a loom, a full kitchen. We can make T-shirts. We have a laser cutter, and I know I'm probably leaving out all kinds of things. But the idea for behind this is to, if you can look at you can see a porch there with just, wood that people can kind of come out and use. The idea is that students come up with a project and they come up with a time plan, they come up with the materials, and they come up with the people that they're going to work with, or they're going to work themselves. It just kind of depends on the class. What I do is I provide them with the tools and the skills to use those tools, and then the guidance to help them be successful and pull off what it is that they have envisioned in their mind. Some of those things can range from making a costume that they want for for like cosplay, basically. A student made a coffee table. One student wanted to learn how to make wooden spoons because he had this big piece of mahogany. Another one wanted to make a pretty elaborate birdhouse that turned out to be more of a owl house because it was so big. Some of them want to learn how to cook. Some of them want to make 3D printers. Now, most of those things that I listed off there, or most all, the first time I never knew how to do myself, which is kind of the idea in that the students and myself spend a good amount of time figuring out how we're going to do something together. It's not, I teach you how to make something. It's I'll teach you the skills to make something, because I've never made a 3D printer before, but I can teach you some things that you're going to need. Some of the things that you can imagine a makerspace at home, or where you can't be at school, because the whole idea of this is the last part of the name is a space. So we don't have this space anymore. We've had to kind of come up with a bunch of different ideas as far as how do you continue your education with that maker mindset. And for a while, I was kind of feeling pretty stressed about how and what we were getting done. And then I started making this list, and I started feeling better because these are lists of things students are doing at home at the moment. I have one student who's taking metal scraps, welding them together to make sculptures. I've got one girl who's making a life-size costume that has a big kind of a horse head on top that has an articulated mouth, and it looks really cool. Another student is doing a kind of scary but very realistic looking sculpture, or a bust of kind of like a monster. We've got another student making a chicken coop. One is shooting drone footage of empty streets so he can make a comparison contrast video later on. One is gardening. Another one is doing some very nice drawings on a tablet and using technology. A couple of students are working together to make a quarantine website, kind of coming up with different ways of basically called Quarantine for Dummies, where it shows you how you properly wash your hands, how you make a mask, and a bunch of other things that they're putting together. And another group that's putting together health and wellness articles that we're putting on our Facebook page that for students and for anybody to, how to eat better when you're stuck at home, how to keep exercising. So yeah, and that's just, part of what students are doing at home. And I think that's only been successful because we've had enough time in the makerspace. They kind of understand that it's not really about the space. It's more about the idea of coming up with an idea and figuring out how to execute it. And that's it.
Thank you so much. I mean, without going into a lot of detail, it's been amazing to see from the outside how all the teachers have carried on such amazing instruction remotely, whether it's a music rehearsal or an art project, or, it's been beautiful, and I felt very proud of what everyone's doing as just part of the school. So speaking of art, we posted about a neat project you were doing today, Miss Lillard. But if you could give us sort of a quick, broad overview of some of the things you do in the art world besides just painting.
Sure. It's nice to see that picture. Some of last year's students I haven't seen in a while. So let's see. Right now, this year, we've offered a Foundations of Arts class for freshmen, which is sort of like, it's an introductory class that aims to expose students to as many different types of material and art making as possible. We have a photography class, digital photography, and we also had a digital video class this year. We have a kiln, so we offer ceramics. We have drawing and painting class, and we started a mixed media class this spring that was pretty cool. Had one student working on stained glass, which was really neat. Other people painting. Another student was learning to throw on the wheel, all within the same class. That was sort of a trial run that went really, really well. And right now we're still making art from home. So our painting and drawing classes are working on anatomy, which is what we would have been doing in school anyway. So they're working on an everyday hero project right now. So we're weaving in sort of current events. They're choosing somebody that they find heroic, and we're going to make them look like comic book superheroes. And photography is working on self-portraits, but we also, some of the things that we're doing we wouldn't have been able to do necessarily with the regular schedule. So for example, photography did this variable light project where they went out and took a picture during sunrise, and then they found the same location midday, and then they took a picture of the same location in the evening at sunset and got to see how different lighting affects mood and color and stuff like that. So and our Foundations of Art class is working on graphic design right now, which also sort of worked out really well because that's something that they can do from home. All of our students have access to Adobe Creative Suite. So most students are familiar with Photoshop, and but we also use Illustrator. I know Mr. Martinez is using Illustrator over in the makerspace for laser cutting, and we've integrated that into some of our projects this year in school. So if you see all those blue squares over the windows of the art room, we've started to actually laser cut some window panels there that are filled with different transparent colors. So I think that project went pretty well. But I guess my goal for the students is to facilitate some kind of connection. So I try to expose them to as many different artists and art practices as possible, and hope that they find some personal connection during their time in the art room, and some freedom of expression.
Thank you. It's a beautiful room to be in, all the light. So just to try to be sensitive to everyone's time, I want to give a particular thank you to Mr. Chris Hansen and Kimberly Myers for being here as parents. And they're happy to answer your questions. But if you want to say something briefly about what Wye River has been as a parent, we would love to hear from you too.
Yeah, I'll just go ahead and chime in, if you will. So I've been taking a couple of notes based on some of the questions that some of the parents have had, and just to kind of just reiterate that Wye River, I think the beauty of the school is that it does a really good job and has a really good effort in just really bringing home that real world learning. The small class sizes are very beneficial for our kids. So in some classes, Lindsay, it's like fifth in the class, or there's 5 kids in the class, or maybe 6. So she can get that individualized learning that she would not have gotten in public school. So we came from a public school setting. So this school is very different. It was actually my first choice. And we had looked at a lot of other schools for Lindsay. And I believe one parent had a question about advocacy. Lindsay advocates for herself really well. Maybe I should just give a little background too about Lindsay. So excuse me for jumping around. Lindsay's in the 10th grade, and she started at ninth grade at Wye River. She's in volleyball. To bring home the point of advocacy, she participated in the vaping and tobacco advocacy, as well as the dyslexia which I think the advocacy there is really beneficial because, particularly with the Dyslexia Day, it brings home their challenge or their superpower, and it doesn't allow students to shy away or use it as an excuse. It is not an excuse. It is not the thing that defines them. It is the thing that makes them great. And when students can participate in those types of events where they are surrounded by other students and they see that there are legislative leaders that are willing to provide extra accommodations for those students, they begin to take a different role in kind of how they view themselves, which I think is really important. In addition to just the real world learning, when you look at Wye River and we hear about all of the wonderful things that they do with the play and the makerspace and the government and the advocacy, I think that sometimes maybe when parents are hearing those things, they may have questions on whether or not the curriculum is rigorous. And I think when you come from a public school setting, it's kind of embedded that you have to have this rigor where you sit and you learn and you sit and, you know, you're not ever going out in the world. Whereas Wye River provides that, but each class that the students take, there's embedded skills in there. So with theater, you're talking about building confidence. There's commitment there. There's collaborative learning, oral communication, creative problem solving, the ability to learn and learn quickly and correctly, because to learn all of those lines, and Lindsay participated in the play last year and she's participated in the play this year, and there's a lot of lines that she has to learn, and Miss Monroe does a really great job in, you know, allowing the students to take ownership of those lines. And so the kids can begin to understand how they interconnect with each other. And then with the makerspace, there's lots of skills there that are embedded. We're talking about flexibility, again, collaboration, the ability to be adaptable. As Mr. Martinez indicated, that sometimes students don't exactly know what they're going to do, but they're able to be adaptable in learning different things and trying things that are new. It also brings up initiative and innovation. And it provides the students with just a wonderful opportunity to have that real world experience. Also, there was another question about the IEP and the 504. And I think one of the other things that is so wonderful about Wye River is, like in a public school setting where you would have an IEP or you would have a 504, and the only way that you could really change those things was through a schedule or requested meeting. The beauty is that each teacher has the ability to be fluid and flexible in changing what they feel that the student needs at any given time. So the student is always ongoing learning. It's not a point where we have to stay with a particular plan for a particular amount of time until a meeting is requested and or scheduled. And if you've been in a public school setting where you have had an IEP, it takes about 90 days for anything to occur, to change, or to be modified. So I just, you know, I can't express enough how grateful I am for Lindsay to be there. I have watched her, you know, kind of blossom and bloom from where she was before. And I think that I can only expect great things for Lindsay moving forward. I also have to say that Ms. Sophocles does a really good job in working with the students and moving them in their career paths. She provides parents with a lot of really good information and resources that you will see weekly through the update. So, you know, I'm a part of the parent chat. If you want to speak with me outside of here today, I totally make myself available. I'm a true advocate of Wye River, and I probably will always be.
I know I'm jumping ahead because Colleen is going to show, but I'll just show you on our website under admissions. If you go to chat with a current parent, Colleen has done a really nice job helping to set this up. And Mr. Hansen is on here, and so is Kimberly. And you can ask them a question directly if you want to. But Mr. Hansen, would you like to say anything? Oh, he's muted.
Hi, my name is Chris Hansen. I am Joshua's father. I'll try to keep it fairly short. I would say what you're going to get at Wye River, which you will not get in any other educational setting, is 100% commitment by the faculty and staff to drive your student in a positive way to be the best that they possibly can. All of them, from teachers to the people at the front desk to everyone in the school, they all have the same mission, and that is to allow your child to thrive in a way that is going to, in the end, develop a well-rounded person who has all the tools to succeed well and beyond high school. My son started there as a freshman. He's now a senior. And the changes that his mother and I have seen are life-altering. So it would not have been possible without the commitment of everyone at Wye River.
Thank you for saying that, Chris, and thank you,
Yep.
Kimberly. We love Lindsay and Josh, and we're so proud of them, and grateful for you to be here and willing to share your stories. I recognize that, you know, time is running short, and it's sort of hard to predict how the timing of this would go. I'll be staying, and feel free to go at any point that you need to. But if you haven't already, you know, like registered online, or if you haven't done anything to reach out to us and you want us to be in contact with you, in the little chat, you can chat directly to Colleen and she'll get your information, and you can let us know if you want a phone call or, you know, someone to reach out to you. But I'll stay here, and anyone else who is willing and has time to help answer questions. We want to, you know, hear your questions, and I'm sure there are plenty of things we haven't talked about yet that you might be interested in. So please feel free to speak up.
I have to run, but thank you very much. It's been just a wonderful evening. Appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you for being here.
Sure.
You may have seen on the slide, we tipped the scale this year. More students come from the west side of the bridge than the east side. And I think that speaks to our teachers, and it's worth the drive to come, and we provide transportation from a lot of different areas. We're, you know, grateful for families that make that time commitment to get their student to us. They come from all over to be at Wye River. And we do have, I mean, there's a lot on the website that's a good reference. We have bus schedules on there if you're interested in where we pick up. And, you know, there's a lot on there also about the application process. Students, after someone inquires or comes to an event like this, we usually have a longer conversation with you and hear about your student and the story of your family, and start to explore, is this place a good fit for your child? And if you decide to progress and go forward with an application, at that point, after you've completed like the first part of the application, then we schedule a shadow day, and maybe a virtual shadow day, and get to know your student in person and have them spend time with us and eat lunch with our students, and somebody like Mason or Cole will take care of them and make them feel welcome, and hopefully everyone does that. And we offer a lot of financial aid and support to our families, and there's often a lot of questions about how much financial aid will we get, and that's an application that considers a lot of factors, not just income but expenses, and so we encourage everyone to go through that process to apply. And I don't know, does anyone want to add anything?
I have to go, but thank you very much for all the information that you all have shared. And Ms. Garcia, I will be in touch with you later.
Thank you. So nice to meet you virtually.
Bye.
Take
Thank
care.
you. Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Thank you.
All right, I'd like to say this is Dan Wolf. Ty has got an application in, and we were fortunate enough before the COVID issues that we were able to come in and spend some time going through the school. We did our tour with
Nicole, and she did an amazing job, answered all of our questions and some.
Well, we appreciate you guys coming on, putting this on for us to, re-engage us again with the school, and we appreciate it.
We appreciate you being here. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for your time.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
This is Ty's grandfather, and I only wish I could go to the school. It sounds so awesome.
You can, come on. We'll charge you.
I also visited with Dan and Kim and Ty, and I was amazed at how comfortable the kids were. They got along so well, and they just were, just comfortable and enjoying school and each other.
Mhm.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Great. Real pleasure.
All right, thanks a lot.
Thank you for joining us.
Bye.
Just thank you, Mason and Cole, and
You're welcome.
really nice to have you here and see everyone. We appreciate you. Thank you. Hi, Lindsay. There you are. I was wondering if you were around.
That went well.
Yeah. Yeah, that was really fun. I mean, I know it's nice to walk around the building, but we can skip from one person to the next real fast.
What about, I like the idea of I never even thought about that, like having a shadow student, a virtual shadow student.